When we don't live up to what the world shows us homemaking should look like, we can easily feel like we have failed as a homemaker. But these feelings are far from the truth. Thanks so much for joining me today as I work on some homemaking tasks and chat about 3 mindset shifts to help us deal with feelings of failure. I'm so glad that you're here today. Feeling defeated when it comes to homemaking is quite normal, but just because it's normal to feel that way doesn't mean we want to feel that way or should feel that way. The world is constantly telling us and showing us what the perfect homemaker is supposed to look like. We have standards that seem to be expected of us as homemakers. When I say homemakers, I want to focus on the fact that you do not have to be a stay-at-home parent or spouse to be a homemaker. A homemaker is simply someone who lives in a home and makes that home a welcoming place for those that they love. This past week has been an unusual one. This video was on the first day of many snow days that we all spent at home, which meant our routines were a bit off and everyone was super excited to see the snow and eager to get out and play in it. And as you know, the housework must go on, even during fun occasions. So I got the dishes done right after breakfast and prepared to start making some snow cream. Last night, my husband went out and set a large bowl on his truck to collect some snow, and it wasn't long after breakfast that our boys were begging to make it. Once I finished up my batch of potato flake, sourdough, banana nut muffins, that's kind of a mouthful, he brought the snow in from outside and we got to work. Just last year, I discovered a different way to make snow cream. Growing up, we always used milk, sugar, and vanilla. It was good, but it didn't really have the texture that I was wanting. Then I discovered that some people used sweetened condensed milk and vanilla to mix with the snow. The recipe that I found for it online called for 8 cups of snow, 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. That was definitely not enough snow. I probably ended up adding about 20 cups of snow by the end of it. I didn't count. I lost count after the 8. It could also depend on the texture of the snow, possibly. We had very dry, powdery snow this time around. I also felt like it was very sweet, so I ended up adding more milk to it to help it taste less sweet, and it was so good. I loved that it was a thicker consistency and a little bit more similar to the normal texture of ice cream that you might keep in your freezer. Sometimes being a homemaker can be extremely overwhelming. I think the reason that we feel this way so often is because it is extremely easy to compare ourselves to other homemakers. But each and every home is different, not to mention that each homemaker's personality is different, which means each and every homemaker and their routines should be different too. But it's not always about routines, although finding a routine that works for you and for your home is a great way to help reduce some of the overwhelming feelings as a homemaker. Another huge aspect is your mindset. A simple change in your perspective can make a world of difference. One mindset shift could be a negative trait about yourself that you have to overcome. For myself, I guess you could say, a recovering perfectionist. I am afraid that I will always be recovering from my perfectionist ways, but I am constantly learning how to manage my need for everything to be perfect. But because I am this way, and I am sure there are others like me out there too, I set the bar way too high for myself. Now, I don't want to just set easy goals that won't allow me to grow as a person, as a Christian, but I don't need to be setting myself up for failure by expecting something of myself that is impossible. I was curious about learning more about perfectionism, and during my research found an article which explains that women, who are usually the ones who play the homemaking role, are more likely to be perfectionist than men. This can actually be a hindrance because many perfectionists will wait to act on whatever it is until they are absolutely 100% sure that they can predict the outcome. And that kind of just boils down to the fact that perfectionists are afraid of failure. After enjoying our snow cream and tackling a few chores around the house, we got bundled up and headed outside for a bit. It was so beautiful seeing all of the white covering everything in sight. Living in Tennessee, we usually get 1, maybe 2 really good snows a year, and that's about it. So when we do get snow, it's a pretty big deal to get to play in it. I enjoy it for a while, but I am most excited about getting back inside to warm up next to the fire and sip on some hot chocolate. We don't drink hot chocolate very often, so it is a special treat whenever we do have some. And I started thinking about how I tend to make a lot of things from scratch, but I always make hot chocolate from the pre-made store-bought kind. If you have an easy homemade recipe, please share it below in the comments, because I think I might want to give a homemade version a try before this winter season is over. The fear of failure can hold so many of us back. I don't think anyone wants to fail. That's pretty obvious. You know, the word fail is actually what inspired my topic for this video. While I was doing one of my workout videos this week, the instructor said the word fail is just an acronym for first attempt in learning. I looked this up just to see if there were any other acronyms out there for the word fail, and another one was first action in learning. And obviously, she was using this to talk about not giving up in your workout. But whenever I heard it, I thought how this applies to so much more than just exercise. As a homemaker, there are many failures: burnt bread, stained clothes, flooded floors, fighting children. I mean, the list, it goes on. But in each and every one of these instances is a chance to learn and to grow and to become better. Several times in the Bible, we are told to count it all joy whenever we face trials, not because we actually enjoy those difficult times, but because when we put our faith in God to help us through these moments that cause us to feel like a failure, we are becoming more of the Christian that He desires for us to be. We learn, we grow, we are able to face future difficulties better because of what we have overcome. Now I'm working on a project that I'm super excited about. It's really not that big of a project. It's really quite simple actually, but it's the little things sometimes that bring us the most joy. This is one of those things. I am making decorative storage containers for my supplements. I tend to forget to take them if I don't see them sitting out as a reminder. But I don't really like the way that it looks to have pill bottles sitting out on my counter all of the time. So one day I had the idea to use glass spice jars with like the bamboo lids as storage containers. But all of the sets that I was finding had like 12 or more jars, and I just did not want to buy that many. So I've been searching at TJ Maxx and other discount stores looking for the perfect inexpensive jars. And then I found these at the Target dollar spot. I was so excited. They had clear glass ones and then these black ones. And so I decided that I liked the black better, or it would give a sleeker, more minimal look. I created the labels on Canva and downloaded them as image files and adjusted their size on PowerPoint. I used my new printer that I got for Christmas to print them out, and I really love this printer. I'm so thankful that I got this new printer for Christmas because my labels turned out so good. After I printed them out, cut them out, I used my sticker making machine to turn the labels into stickers so that they would stick smoothly to the glass surface. I'm sure that glue would work just fine, but I knew that I had this, so I wanted to put it to good use. You just run the paper of whatever you want to turn into a sticker through the machine, and it comes out with the sticky on the bottom. This sticker machine has a few different options like permanent adhesive, adjustable adhesive, and I think they also have a laminated sticker option as well. I used it a lot as a teacher, and I've also been using it for homeschooling, making personalized stickers for kids and birthdays and for Bible class. It's just a great tool to have around. I really love how these turned out. They look really beautiful on these jars, and I love seeing them out on my counter. I haven't forgotten a day of my supplements since I made them, so that's a win for me. Another perspective change is realizing that you don't know everything there is to know about homemaking. I don't think that any of us actually think that we know everything about homemaking, but I think that we feel that we should know everything about homemaking. But we will always be learning. And while at first I felt uneasy about the fact that I will never know all there is to know about homemaking and that I will continue to make mistakes, coming to terms with that is actually quite comforting. Just knowing that I will grow and I will become better and more experienced. I will make mistakes, and that is okay. Starting out as a homemaker, I thought I knew so much more than I did. I think back to my 20-something-year-old self who thought she knew so much about cooking and baking, and here I am today making my own bread using a potato flake starter who I didn't even know what that was back then. And so who knows what I'll be doing 10 years from now. The fact is that today we are doing the best we can with what we know today, and we can't tell the future and know all there is to know about everything. We just must do the best that we can with the knowledge that we have. Becoming better at anything takes time, and trying to become the best homemaker in the world will not happen overnight. Being able to admit that you don't know something doesn't mean that you're a failure. It can mean the beginning of learning something or continuing to learn. I am working on some new labels for my boys' closet thanks to another Target dollar spot find. I have felt like a complete failure when it comes to my boys' closet and their bedroom and their clothes, their organization, just in general. It's been a huge problem. No matter what I did, how I organized it, how many times a week we cleaned it, it always seemed to be an overwhelming mess. So I took some advice from Dawn, the Minimal Mom, here on YouTube, and reduced their everyday clothing to 7 each. Now I think she only did like 5, but I gave them a little bit more. We got 7 long sleeve shirts, 7 short sleeve shirts, 7 pajamas, 7 comfy pants. You get the idea. I did only give them 3 pairs of jeans. But at first I felt like I was being a bit drastic, but I didn't get rid of the rest of their clothes unless they were worn out and needed to be donated, or I knew that we probably weren't going to wear them. I packed the rest of them in a tote labeled with their size so that if they ruin something or we want to switch things out, they have it available to be able to use, and we don't have to buy anything new. But now it's not all in their baskets, becoming overwhelming to them every time they need to pick out their clothes. They got to help choose what they wanted in their basket, and once we got it all pared down, I wanted to make sure all of the baskets had the labels so they knew exactly where everything went. This has helped so much when it comes to putting up their clothes. That is something they are in charge of, and they were getting overwhelmed so easily before whenever they had a lot of laundry to put away. I mean, don't we all get overwhelmed with lots of laundry? But Now it's manageable for them to both put their clothes up in about 5 minutes. As long as I wash their clothes every few days instead of once a week, they have plenty of clothes to wear and choose from. And honestly, they were just always picking the same outfits anyways, because just like the rest of us, they have their favorites and they kept coming back to those. I am going through all of the baby toys from the living room and her bedroom because very similar to the clothes situation. It's overwhelming to have too many toys, and I know that she will play better with fewer options out there for her to choose from. Another mindset that needs to change might be the mindset of feeling the need to do it all by yourself. Changing your mindset to being able to ask and accept help from others. This is something I have always struggled with, asking others for help. And to be completely honest, I even struggle to ask God for help sometimes too. Not that I don't think that He can help me, but I think because I am always trying to do everything on my own. Obviously, this is not the way we were intended to live. I am making some potato flake sourdough biscuits. My sister also uses a potato flake starter, and I'm always talking to her about different things that we should try to make with our starter. And she said, "Oh, I wonder if we could make biscuits." And I thought, I'm sure we can. So I'm playing around with the recipe, and it turned out so good that I'm gonna have it posted over on the blog. I will post a link in the description below so you can check that out. On YouTube, I recently had a negative comment on one of my videos in regards to women needing YouTube videos to be able to do the normal homemaking things. And the negative comment didn't really bother me, but it did get me to thinking about the fact that the Bible teaches about women learning from other women and just learning from each other in general. If you have the right mindset, watching YouTube videos on homemaking is one way of asking for help. Learning from other homemakers in videos is a wonderful way to be encouraged. Unfortunately, if we aren't careful, it can cause us to play the comparison game. Please don't let yourself get sucked into comparing your homemaking to others. I know I've done it, we've probably all done it, but please try not to compare yourself to others because everyone is so different. Many generations ago, it was common for families to live closer together, even all on the same land or even in homes right next to each other. This allowed for all of the women to work together and to learn from the older women, and this is just not as common today. Many women may not be fortunate enough to learn from family, and it is a great blessing whenever they do, but seeking help from a wise woman to encourage and be a mentor is a great way to help let go of the feeling that you have to do it all alone. These biscuits were a very fun experiment. I knew that I could let the dough rise for the first time and ferment with the potato flake starter, but I knew that they were going to do better if I added some extra leavening agent for the second rise, because I wasn't going to allow them to rise in the pan before baking. So I added baking soda and baking powder to the dough after the first ferment, which is always difficult to incorporate, but it's totally possible. You just have to work with it for a bit. I had this cookie cutter that my mom had given me with a set of probably about 100 different cookie cutter shapes. I've had these since I was a child, and it was the only round cookie cutter that I had. And it worked for today, but I think I'm going to order me some bigger metal ones that are a bit thicker in height and also maybe a bit rounder. Because these biscuits were a little bit on the small side, I felt like they could have been even better if they would have been bigger around and a little bit taller. This time I rolled it out about 1/4 of an inch thick. I think about 1/2 an inch thick would have been a lot better. My husband really loved them, and so did my kids, and I did too. They devoured them at dinner tonight. We are having a breakfast for dinner night, and I don't know if that is something that you do in your home, but that is one of our favorite dinners, is just breakfast for dinner. I think maybe it's because I don't tend to make a huge breakfast at actual breakfast time, which it's just hard to make a big breakfast at breakfast time because there's just so many things going on. But you have to always eat dinner, and typically you spend more time on dinner anyway, so this is a great time for me to make a big breakfast and we can all enjoy it. I think one thing that makes these biscuits so delicious is basting them with butter halfway through the baking and then basting them again whenever they come out of the oven. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope that you were encouraged and know that homemaking is a never-ending learning journey, and that is how it is meant to be. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so that you won't miss new videos like this. See you again soon.